Hey guys, this is Jackie from Jack Gets Lost in a Book Hole. So I thought I would do a video where I show you all the books I got from the used bookstore, the Givens bookstore in our town. I don't know if you guys would actually be interested or not because I have talked about these videos already, but I figured, I would talk about that. I would share the books I got. Now, what's great about this used bookstore is I can get hardback books with the extra cover on with the what is the word? I can't think of the word. Dust with the dust jacket on it. Because sometimes those are a lot nicer. And the only thing that's stopping me from normally buying them is at regular bookstores like Books A Million and Barnes and Noble. Those are $20 or more usually. But at this place, and the same thing with the trade paperbacks, I don't usually get those. I usually get the mass paperbacks, but my collection I have like all my Harry Potter books are hardbacks, and I have some trade paperbacks as well, even before we moved here to this where there's the used bookstore. Okay, so first I'm starting with the books that are easiest to grab because I just kind of took them off my shelf and put them in a pile beside my chair. So the first one I got is The Rook by Daniel O'Malley. This is, from what I've heard, it's about this group of people who fight supernatural forces in England. And I recently heard that there is going to be a TV show adaptation, so it's basically the show Supernatural in England. But it's more of an organization. It's like a government organization rather than two guys in their car just fighting the forces of evil. So I've decided I probably need to read this book soon. I heard about this book first from Reagan from Peruse Projects, and a lot of times she talks about books that sound really interesting to me, or books I've already read that are interesting to me. She's one of those booktubers that I have very similar taste with her. And this is actually, I think this is a originally a library book. I wonder what discarded means. I guess discarded means they were gonna get rid of this copy. But I'm wondering if I could take this off. I mean, it doesn't look like it's taped. I think I might ask my mom if she can help me get this off. I mean, because I know it protects it, but I don't like it. Actually, I'm weird. I don't like the plastic on the books. I know why library books the people at the library put this plastic cover because they don't want anyone to ruin the book. Because some people might bring the book with them when they go traveling. They might be reading the book while they're eating. So the plastic is a protective thing. And I guess it's taped on too, though. Oh, I better not do that. I might not be able to because I don't want to ruin the book and make it, But, yeah, so let me stop talking about that one because this is going to be a long video. So next, okay, so I heard about this author from another booktuber I watched, possibly, I don't know who it was. I would say, like, either Getting Higo with it, or, I cannot remember her name. I feel bad that I don't know her name. I only know her, like, YouTube account name. Or it might have been from the Book Olive, Olivia from the Book Olive, or Leslie from Words of a Reader. One of them, I think one of them talked about Sarah Waters. Might not even been them. It might have been one of the other British or Australian booktubers. I don't know, but I remember one of them talked about this author. So, and I saw this and I just got really excited at seeing it at the used bookstore. I was like, oh my god, I have to get that, and it's also set in the 1920s, and I love the 1920s. It's one of my favorite decades in history. So I had to get this one. And then I saw this one there, and this is another one I heard people talking about this, and actually it has J.K. Rowling did a blurb, made a quote about it. Although J.K. Rowling is losing some of the love her fans have, she's losing some of her fan love because they don't like the direction she's going with all the canon stuff she's adding onto Harry Potter. But I will still, if she recommends it, then I think it's definitely worth checking out. But this is another one. Again, one of those people like Leslie from Words of a Reader. Oh, for a second I thought it said thank you, Jackie, but there's actually, there's a little sticky now where someone is thanking someone for the book. But now it's my property, it's in my possession, so I want to read that one. This one I actually saw in the YA/kids section, slash westerns, slash table coffee books. I saw this there, and the YA books and the kids books are like $1. So $1 or $2. The trade, I think the bigger ones are $2. So I jumped on this. It's basically, from what I read in the description, it's science versus magic kind of thing. Like magic is starting to die and people are no longer believing it. They're focusing more on the science. And I thought that was always a very interesting debate. Even though magic, as far as we know, magic isn't real. I mean, who knows, maybe it is real, we just don't notice it, we just don't see it, or maybe we're not supposed to see it. But I thought the idea of magic and a war between magic and science would be really interesting to read about. And plus, like I said, it was like $1 or $2 to buy that book. And this one is the 5th book in the Dark Tower series. Now, it does not match my other ones. All my other ones are the small mass paperback. Let me see if I can see them. Where are they? Oh, I just realized when I put Gone with the Wind back, because I just filmed a video about Gone with the Wind, about the couple in Gone with the Wind, I put it in upside down on my shelf. I just realized that. Yeah, with the black lettering, his name, Stephen King's name in black lettering, where it has the single image on it. This one is different because it's a cartoon, and I just watched, I don't think it was a review, I think it was just a wrap-up of what they're reading, and they talked about, they had just read this one, and they said that this one kind of deviates from the main plot, just like the 4th one does. So, and they said you don't have to read it, but I'm gonna continue reading Wizard and Glass, and I want to read this one because it's still part of the series, and I feel like I should read it, even if it doesn't do anything for the main plot. It's still part of the series, and Stephen King still felt an important story to tell. So I'm gonna read both Wizard and Glass and this one, even if it's not part of the main plot. And what's great about this one is because of its size and everything, so the print is big. That's the only problem with like the books, my original copies of the books, is that it's the print, because I got the mass market paperbacks, the print is tiny. And that just drives me crazy. And the only reason I buy mass market paperbacks, I know it's funny that I'm saying it drives me crazy, because a lot of my bookshelf consists of, unless it's YA, of course, because all YA, I feel like, no YA is, the mass paperbacks that I know of. But, then you're probably thinking, well, why do I buy mass paperback? Well, I buy it because I didn't get a permanent job until this year, so I still have to be somewhat careful with my spending, and the mass market paperbacks are cheap. Plus, you can carry them around with you, so that's the only reason I buy them. but you know, the thing is, no, I read a lot of YA, so the YA is not mass market paperback usually. So I got this one, but I still gotta read Wizard and Glass, so it's gonna be a while before I read this one. So next, let's see what I can get to, what I can grab without, okay, so I've been really interested in the whole Civil War era and the American Revolution era. So, I saw, where's that other one, if I can get to it. Okay, I don't think I can. I don't know where it is. Well, I can show you. Okay, so this, let's see. Let's see, where is the other one? There's another one that I have. Well, I'll show you that in a minute. I just can't find it right now. And I don't want to waste time looking for it. So I got a whole bunch of books. I mean, I didn't get all these at the same time, of course, because the most amount of books I will buy is 3. But a whole bunch of books based on the 1700s, the Civil War, the American Revolution era. So I have here A Separate Country, which is about a famous soldier, and this is actually, I think this is a fiction, like, it's fiction, but it's based on a true story. General Hood, and I think it's after the war, and, you know, he's trying to find a wife that will love him despite what happened, and I guess what he did in the war. And then, this is by the same author. Okay, well, this one is actually, I think this is after the war, and it's about a widow of the war. You know, a widow of a Southern soldier. See, this would actually be $24.95 if I got it in a regular bookstore. And in Canada, it's $33.95. I always like looking at the Canadian prices. So, yeah, if I had, it would be more expensive if I got it at a regular bookstore. And then I also, these are 2 books I got yesterday, when I went, or, not yesterday, the day before yesterday, on, Wednesday when I went. So, this one is about this woman who discovers, some property, some transcripts about her grandfather and his connection to an assassinate, like, of a plot to assassinate President Woodrow Wilson. So I thought that would be interesting, and my dad actually might like this one. You know, I don't know. He might actually, when I'm done with it, I might show this to him, and he might want to read it. But I don't know. I mean, I just bought him a book recently, and so this one, I got this one because it kind of reminded me of, and I have, which is a book I haven't read, but it kind of reminded me of, from what I know about it, what's it called? I'm drawing a blank here. What is it? Where is it? The Lies of Locke Lamora. It kind of reminded me, like, you know, he's a thief, and, he steals stuff, and he finds he's sent on a mission to stop this someone from getting this special book, or something, or to stop a conjurer who is trying to resurrect the souls of the dead and attack everybody. So it kind of reminded me of Lies of Locke Lamora, but I have not read Lies of Locke Lamora yet. But just from what I know about the story, about the series, it kind of reminded me of Locke and everything. And then there's another book somewhere in this pile, which I will show you in a minute. I think it's in the pile that has to do with, that also is kind of the same 1700s storyline. So next, I have here So I am a fan of Song of Ice and Fire series, and I know that what inspired George R. R. Martin was the War of the Roses. So, and this is a fictionalized version of that story, but it's but the way it's written, it's easier to read. Like, see that print? It's huge. Not large print, see, so it will be easy to read. So I wanted to get that one. And then, let's see, so this is one of the first authors I decided to check out from the used bookstore, Ken Follett. This is the second book in one of his series. It's a sequel to Pillars of the Earth, and I think Column of Fire that just came out is the third book in this particular trilogy. So this is the second one. And I got this because it sounded really interesting. I wanted to check it out. And this is actually the first book in that trilogy. As you can see, I read the beginning of it, like the prologue of it, just to see if it was interesting to me. The only problem is that I have I'm not a big fan of this time period, but I mean, I got War of the Roses, so, and I think it's set kind of the same time period, and it's about this church being built, but I figured I'd check it out. Okay, well, I may as well go ahead and Okay, so the other Ken Follett books I got were his other trilogy, the Century Trilogy, and I got all of the books in the trilogy in the same format, which is awesome. So I got Fall of Giants, and as you can see, I started reading a little bit of that. Edge of Eternity, which is the second one, and oh wait, no, that's the third one. Never mind, sorry, that's the third one. And this is the second one, Winter of the World. And this is set in the 1900s, actually the same time period as Roses. So I'm gonna, so I wanted to read, this is probably kind of more of my favorite time period, like early 20th century, than Pillars of the Earth. Okay, so let's see. I've been hearing about this book a lot. I wasn't sure if I wanted to read it or not, but it was at the used bookstore for a cheap price, of course. So I chose to get this one, which is a night film about a journalist who is investigating the supposed suicide of a famous filmmaker who makes these very dark films, her death. And if it was actual suicide. I read a little bit of it, but it has mixed media in it, which I thought was very interesting. Although I've heard from some reviewers that they were a little disappointed that there wasn't a lot of mixed media. But there's like internet articles and stuff like that, and newspaper articles. So I'm gonna check that out. And it's a little different from my usual reads. So, I also got, this is Red Dragon. My friend Terry, has been trying to get me to read Thomas Harris's The Hannibal series. So I finally started collecting those. So I have Red Dragon, which is, I think, I don't know if it's the first one or, well, no, I think it was written after Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal, but it's kind of a prequel storyline. Okay, so let me go ahead and see if I can get those. Okay, so I also have, I also bought, this is Hannibal, the third book. It's different. It's a different edition than that Red Dragon one. So I got some, and then I got Hannibal Rising, which is which chronologically would be the first book because it's about Hannibal as a kid and what specifically turned him into a cannibal. So I might just go ahead and read this one anyway, unless I get Silence of the Lambs soon. So I have those 3 books. Okay, then I have, this is a book that I have been hearing a lot about. I had heard a lot about. I wanted to get it. And then I saw it at the used bookstore again for like $3 or $4. So I jumped on this immediately. But this is about these 2 wizards or sorcerers or whatever. There are magicians, I don't know what they would be called, who are competing against each other. Like at least that's what I hear. And there was actually, what originally got me kind of curious is because I remembered there was a TV show for this, and one of the actors who played one of the guys is on one of my favorite TV shows that got canceled before it could even get its feet off the ground, and that was Gallivant. So I wanted to read this one. Unfortunately, this is one of those mass market paperbacks with a really tiny print. But I can read those. I have read them before. And then I also got this one. This is one that I read the series before, up to A Lion Among Men. I haven't read Out of Oz yet, but I want to, so I decided to read by the books. And I saw this one. Actually, no, this one might have not been at the used bookstore. This might have actually been at Books A Million. But either way, it was still cheap. And I love the green. It has green edges. I think that's so cool. I like how there are books that are doing that a lot more. So, I'm going to read by the book so I can eventually reread them and then read Out of Oz. This one I just bought. This is one of the books I bought Wednesday. I got 3 books. I showed you the other 2 already. I have been seeing this one a lot. It kind of reminded me of Water for Elephants from what, with the setting and everything. So, what's on the cover and all that. And The Magician's Lie it kind of reminded me of that too, which is a similar thing because it's, about a female magician. So I want to read this one as well. And who knows, my mom might like that one. Okay. Next, let's see what else. Okay, so, let me show you all my. So I read The Great Gatsby years ago, and I read it twice in 2016 or 2017. I can't remember. Either way, I reread it while I was here at this house. So I decided to go ahead and I wanted to read some more of F. Scott Fitzgerald. So I saw these at there at that store. This is a collection of his short stories. Like I've seen the movie of Benjamin, the Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I've seen the movie with Brad Pitt in it, so I wanted to read the book. And this one also has Bernice bops her hair in it, which is one I remember hearing about back in high school around the time that I read The Great Gatsby. So I wanted to get this and read. And they're also short stories, so. And then there's this one, which is 2 of his novellas. I guess these 2 are not that long. This Side of Paradise and The Last Tycoon. So I saw this one there and decided to get it. And I like this. I like his edition. I like the whole, even though there's nothing on it and it's not very pretty, I still kind of like that it's a hardback, and it looks like an older book. So I thought that was so, I thought that was really cool. Okay, so next, let's see what else can I grab. So this is another one. This is one of those books where it took me a while before I finally bought this one because I kept having to decide between books because I try to limit myself to 2 books per purchase, but it doesn't. Sometimes like the other day I got 3 books. So I got this one, which is it's one of those books that goes back and forth between the present time and the past, and it's the possibility, and like it has something to do with the idea of like, the Holy Grail is hidden somewhere, and they come across the possibility of being able to find the infamous Holy Grail, something like that. And I really, like, this was kind of also, I know I say I don't normally do this, but this was kind of a cover by, or at least that's what first pulled me in. I thought the cover was really interesting. So, and then the title was, so I got this one, finally. And then, this was one of those books I was hearing a lot about, and I know Emma Watson was in the movie, and so was Tom Hanks, and I like both those actors, and I wanted to see it, but I try to read the books first, before I see the movie, but sometimes that doesn't work out, because I just really want to see the movie. And it was also a recommendation, because sometimes the store has, like, staff members have recommendations, and this was one of them, so I decided to go ahead and jump on buying it. Okay, and then there was this one. I already had The Secret History, and I bought it a while back, and so I was reading it, and I really like it so far. And I know all of this. There's, you either love this one or you love The Secret History, and I think I'm gonna be one of the few people that likes both books. So I want to get this one, which is like, so it's, yeah, so I got this one, and because it was at the bookstore, it was cheap, so that was really awesome. And I mean, you won't necessarily get, like, at the actual, like, at a store, and in Barnes & Noble or Books A Million, it'll be $20 to get it. At, like, a Books A Million or Barnes & Noble, so I jumped on that. All these are books that I just jumped on buying, because I knew that at the used bookstore, it wouldn't be. Okay, so this one kept jumping out at me. It still haven't bought yet. I know that some of my favorite booktubers have said it's not that great, and they don't like the romance. But it was, again, I'm like, some of these books, even though I've heard negative things about them, they were really cheap. And I like epic romances. Again, this one kind of reminded me of a very Gone with the Wind, epic romance type thing. And the time period is very interesting. So even if I don't like it, it's not that expensive. It wasn't that expensive where I bought it. So, but so who knows though? Maybe I'll actually like it, even if the others don't. I mean, Scarlett and Rhett are a very, problematic couple, but I love them. So I might actually love this couple. So I mean. And, even if I don't like it, I can always give it away or give it back to them, so. I might give it away, though, to, like, a friend or something, because I just always feel really weird giving, because I did that once or twice where I gave them back books, and I re-donated it back to them, and I just felt really weird doing that. Because it's like, I spent money and just bought them, and now I'm giving it back to them. And I didn't even read it. Like, I mean, I read, like, a little bit, and it just wasn't interesting to me. So one of my favorite children's books was The Velveteen Rabbit, and I saw this, and this is about the author and the author's daughter who painted the illustrations in the book, and I love the illustrations. They look like a painting. They're so beautiful. So I decided to go ahead and read this fictionalized version of the author and the illustrator, and how they wrote it. I thought this would be really interesting. Oh, and here it is. I finally came across it. The Trader's Wife. This is another one of the books that is all about the 1700s, like the American Revolution, and it's about the wife of Benedict Arnold, the traitor to the American cause, and how his wife is to blame for his traitorous act. Like, it's about she was responsible for it. So, I think. And Philip Gregory gave this a good. So I wanted to read that one. Like I said, I'm getting more into that kind of history. Okay, I'm almost done. So I need to hurry up because I don't want to have to redo this, and I want it published. So I also got a map of the world. I don't know anything about this book, so this, I guess you could argue this was a cover by. But from what I read on Goodreads, this woman is trying to protect her family from these hippies, her home from these hippies who moved in or trying to take over, or something like that. So I'm guessing this was in the 60s or 70s. Another book I have set in the 60s is The Divine Secrets of the Ya-Ya Sisterhood. I remember really enjoying the movie. It's about a mother-daughter relationship. I always like those kind of stories about parents and children relationships. So I thought I would read the book. And I know there's several other books to go with this book. Like, it's kind of a continuous series. Like, it's one of those companion series. So I'm going to read this first book. I don't know if I'll continue and read the other books, but I'm going to read it at some point. And then I also got, this is supposed to be kind of a 1950s retelling of Jane Eyre. So as soon as I read that in the description, I was like, ooh, I'm going to buy this. Because Jane Eyre is one of my all-time favorite classics. So I'm going to check. So there's that one. Sorry, I'm kind of going a lot faster, but I don't want this video to be too long. Crap. Damn it. Okay, so, there's also, I read, her first book about King Henry's first wife. So I wanted to go ahead and I saw this one, The White Queen. So I want to read this one. So she looks like she writes a lot of The Kingmaker's Daughter, The Lady of the Rivers, and The Red Queen. So, if you read her, Philippa Gregory writes a lot about the famous Tudor family. I think that this is the people before the Tudors came along, or maybe after them, I don't know. But I want to read that one. Hopefully it's not like the Tudor series where there's a whole bunch of books that you have to read if you want to. Damn it. Okay. Oh. Okay. Almost done. Almost done, you guys. Of course, I don't even know if you guys are actually interested in this video or not, if you'll like it, but, I mean, this is kind of like a used bookstore haul. Okay, so I also saw this one. I know that there's a lot of people have criticisms and talk about how problematic that Diana Gabaldon's Outlander series is, but so far I still like it, but I only read up to book 2, so I still gotta read book 3, but I went ahead and bought book 4 because it was at that store for really cheap, so I went ahead and bought the 4th book, Drums of Autumn. I'm hoping to read the 3rd book some point this year. Okay, so then next, this one I got more recently actually, and that is Explorer's Guide. Again, this is a book set in the early 20th century about these group of people, I'm guessing men, that are exploring the world and learning about its secrets. And I saw this, and I love this cover. See, I definitely understand the appeal of covers and why people will do the whole cover buy thing. But at the same time, I'm thinking I shouldn't waste my money if I don't know if I end up not liking it, then I wasted my money. So I'm not made of money. I'm not rich, and I only work at a grocery store, so I don't make a lot. So I can't just carelessly go buy books. I mean, although I kind of do, but I don't have multiple copies, and I don't just buy books because of the covers. So but I do understand cover appeals. How sometimes certain covers are really appealing. So this was one of the first books I bought. I remember I loved the animated movie. I heard though that the book is really different. Like the characters are very different in the book. Like Phoebus is not that great of a character in that Claude Frollo is completely different in the book. And, of course, Disney animation is going to be more fluffy and stuff. And although it did get kind of dark, it does get kind of dark when Frollo is all obsessed with Esmeralda and everything. So I want to read the book. I read Les Mis. Granted, I thought Les Mis was kind of boring. I would like to reread it, but I don't have it anymore. But I did see my edition of the book that I used to have at the used bookstore. So I was tempted to buy it to reread it, but I might just see if it's at the library. But it's probably not, so I might never reread it. Who knows? But I want to read that one. And then my last 4 books. Okay, so I read Steinbeck years ago when I was like in middle school, and at the time I admit that I did not like it. I did not like Of Mice and Men, but I'm hoping now that I'm older and a more mature reader, I might give it a shot. And so far, I definitely like his other book, East of Eden. I find it really interesting, and the character is very fascinating. It's just taking me a long time to read it. So I ended up buying this one, and you're not gonna find this edition at a used bookstore for a cheap price. So I got this one, hoping I'm going to read it at some point, and I'm also going to read my collection of novellas, and Of Mice and Men is in that collection, but that one was not from the bookstore, obviously. That one was actually from Barnes & Noble. And then the last one, I'm just going to put these together, because I'm worried that I'm going to have to redo this whole video, or just maybe this, but I love Kate Morning as far as a historical author, and I love her writing style. I love her stories. So I have been wanting to read by her books, and lucky for me, I saw these at the used bookstore. So this is the Forgotten Garden, which is my favorite of hers. So I bought this one first, and then I saw these 2 the other day, not Wednesday, but even before that, like last week. So I ended up buying both of them. I think I would say this is probably my second favorite of her books. And then I like this one. Yes, I was very pleased that I was able to get these. I still gotta get, I can't remember. There's 2 more books of hers that I need to get. What's it called? And I'm hoping that she'll write another one. I'm really hoping that she's going to do another one soon. But I'm sure she makes enough money that she doesn't need to, unless she wants to. But I'm hoping she will, because I love reading her books. But I imagine if she is, it's just taken a long time to write it. Because which I understand. Even I still get impatient, but, well, anyway, I can't remember what the one I'm trying to think of is called. And, but yeah, so I rebought these. So, anyway, I hope you guys didn't find that video too boring and found it interesting. And if you did, give it a thumbs up. And also, please subscribe to my channel. Alright, thank you. Bye.